anyone's got any questions, if you want to start typing them, and I will happily answer them for you. So just to introduce myself, I am a paediatric sleep consultant. My company is called Snooze Tots. So effectively, I help lots of tired mums and dads with their sleep, with their children's sleep. So yeah, just fire questions, and we've got half an hour, and I'll try and get through as many as possible. So here we go. Any sort of questions you've got about nighttime sleep, naps? Here we go. Let's begin. So I'll read them out and then I'll just tell you what I suggest you do. So my baby is 7 months old. On occasions when I go out in the morning and come back for lunchtime sleep, I have trouble getting him to go to sleep in his cot. This only happens when I've been out in the car, and he does fall asleep for a few minutes before I transfer him. I've tried to keep him awake, but near on impossible when I'm driving. When I transfer him, he wakes up, then I put him in his cot, usual bedtime routine, then he cries hysterically and won't go to sleep. I've tried calming him, stroking him, white noise, giving him a bottle, but nothing will settle him, and then he's really grumpy and tired. We have a solid routine pattern in place, and he's fine going to sleep in the cot when we've just been at home or nighttime. I don't want to be tied to staying at home all the time. Also, just to mention, when we go out is after his morning sleep. So what actually is happening here is, even if they're having just a few minutes sleep, that sleep pressure then drops. So the minute that sleep pressure drops, when you've taken them back home and you're trying to get them back to sleep, it's really hard for them to get back to sleep. So there's no magical thing we could do. I know it sounds pretty obvious, but try and keep them awake in the car, windows down, music playing, just trying to keep them awake, or try and shift the time maybe that you go out, just so that you can try and make sure he's back for his sleep. That's what I would suggest for that one. Yeah, it's the minute that they've had even a few minutes sleep, then that next nap's just going to be really hard to get them down. My daughter is 2. She stays up all night, can't get her to sleep unless she wants to, and can't stop her napping during the day. So when you say you can't stop her napping during the day, that sounds like she's having too much sleep in the day. So then when it gets to nighttime, she's like, I'm not tired. So you want to try and limit her sleep in the day. So at 2 years old, she should be on one nap in the day, roughly at 12:30. And that, depending on the child, between 1.5 hours, 2 hours, just cap it at 2 hours, I'd say. And then a reasonable bedtime of about 7:30. Because if you're saying that you can't stop her napping during the day, all you're doing is having a cycle of that she's catching up on her, so she doesn't sleep all night and then she's catching up in the day, and then you're just going to keep on repeating that. So you need to just make sure you cut the naps in the day, cut the sleep, and then that should then transfer to the night sleep. Here, my daughter sleeps really well, goes to bed at 9 p.m, wakes up at 8 a.m, has a bottle and goes back off till 11ish. Then about two has a 20-minute nap, then at 5 sleeps till 6:30. If she's sleeping too much, she's bottle fed and she's lacking vitamins. Is she lacking vitamins? I'm not a doctor. You need to find out from your doctor. One thing, I don't know what age she is, so I can't really tell you if she's having too much sleep or not, because it really just depends on age. So if you let me know what age she is, then I can answer that one. My son is 2 and hasn't slept through since birth. He still wakes through the night and now has gone back to asking for milk. He will only be rocked to sleep. We've tried to control crying, but he makes himself sick. He naps in the day for around 1.5 to 2 hours. Should I stop that? Absolutely not. Do not stop the nap at 2. It's not going to suddenly mean that he's going to sleep better at night. He's probably going to sleep worse. The key thing here is that you need to stop giving him milk to get back to sleep, because he's just going to continuously cry out every time. For that, at 2 years old, very unlikely he's going to need fed in the night. He's just using it as comfort. No need to do control crying if he's making himself sick. You could do something where you're in the room and just gradually get yourself out of the room. So look up gradual retreat. That's probably the best approach. So you just stay in the room and just gradually move out. But I'd stick with having the nap in the middle of the day and give him a reasonable bedtime and try and stop giving him milk. My son is 11 months and won't sleep on his own. He slept with me even when he was born and we were in hospital. He won't have long naps, only about 10 minutes through the day. I don't know how to keep him asleep. Also, he has to be cuddled to go to sleep. And if I or whoever he's asleep on moves, he wakes. So you're just needing to teach him the basic skill of falling asleep on his own. So because he's so used to co-sleeping, I do go really slowly and gradually on this. So I would just start with the nighttime, and just, as I said, that previous method, use that gradual retreat. Just stay in the room, give him comfort by the side of the cot, and just slowly, he knows you're there. Give him lots of reassurance, and then just get yourself slowly further out the room as you see him getting better and better at it. Because he only sleeps for 10 minutes, it sounds like you're giving him sleep at the wrong time of day. So you're aiming to give him roughly maximum day sleep of 2.5 hours with 4 to 5 hours wake time across 2 naps. So, but work on that, and then also just try and get him settling on his own, and try not cuddling to sleep. Try and keep him in his cot. Question from a Facebook fan. Hello, my daughter is 14 months old and slept brilliantly up until about 9 months. And now she wakes up to 5, sorry, I'm really thirsty, it's so hot, up to 5 times a night for some milk. Any advice to get her sleeping through again? Because I've recently found out I'm expecting again. Thanks in advance. Well, first of all, congratulations. 14 months old, so she did used to sleep through until 9 months. So something's changed in terms of how you're responding to her. So you just need to go back to being consistent in how you respond. I'd aim to have no more milk when she wakes up, because otherwise, as I said earlier, she's just going to constantly expect that. So use other ways to comfort her and settle her, whether that's just going in and sitting by the side of the cot and comforting her, and then just doing less and less. Yeah, that's easily fixable if you're consistent and you respond to her in a consistent way. Also, just check she's getting enough sleep at the right time of day. If she's 14 months, she should be on about one. She could be on 2 naps still, but she could be ready to transition, or she's already transitioned to 1 nap. Roughly about 2 hours in a day, sleep-wise. So yeah, it's just reteaching her to be comfortable falling asleep on her own. A question from a fan. My boy has just turned 12 months. We have a bedtime routine, so it's a bad bedtime routine which works well for us. The problem is, after a couple of hours, he's restless for the rest of the night, mainly crying, tossing and turning. It's getting exhausting as I'm only getting a few hours sleep at best. I'd need to know more detail what he's doing in the day. How much sleep is he getting in the day? Are you giving him too much sleep, so that after a few hours of night sleep, he's suddenly awake? Or the other side is he not getting enough in that sleep in the day? So 12 months, roughly aim for 2 hours sleep in the day. And it's all about how you respond to him. So you just really need to teach him to go back to sleep himself. Lots of different approaches. Just depends if you want to use something where you're in the room or you are out the room. So my little boy is 17 months and still wakes once during the night for a bottle. He self-settles at night, and his bed, he goes to bed at 7:15 through till 6:30. He naps for about 90 minutes at 1:30. How can I get him to sleep through the night? Sorry, so he settles at bed at 17:15. So the issue is just the one feed, I think. Is that the issue? So if that's the issue here, that he's just still waking up for the 1 night feed, you need to gradually wean him off that. So if it's a bottle, yeah, it's a bottle. So just give him a little bit less and less. every night. And then once he's doing that, then I would just use a settling approach, no more milk, and just use a settling approach, whether that's going checking on him every few minutes or if that's just staying by the side of him and settling him. Yeah, at 17 months, it's just a habit that he's waking up for his milk. He's not actually needing it. So next question. I have a 2-year-old and 7-month-old. You must be busy. Before baby came along, I had a brilliant routine with my older boy, but since baby here, I've struggled to get any routine back with him and stays in my bed about 75% of the time. I do have a routine with baby though, using Ollie the Owl. So what can I do to get my boy back into some sort of routine? They share a room, so don't want my boy disturbing baby. So what I would suggest is whilst you're going through the process of teaching him to sleep, I would maybe consider if it's possible to move your little one into another room or into your room, but maybe put a divider up just so that you can work on his sleep, solely on his sleep, because the stress of then him waking up your baby will just get all too much. So focus on getting his sleep sorted first. And that's just teaching him to settle himself and not come into your bed. So be really strong about keeping him in his own cot. But yeah, I would separate them, and then whether that's just bringing your baby into your room, and then once you've got his sleep sorted, then bring them back together, and use white noise in their room. Put it in between their two sleep spaces, just so it muffles out the noise. And I do that a lot with twins. So we put one actually in the middle of the cots, and then one by the door as well, just to try and get rid of, so that they can stay asleep, the other one. So my 11-month-old still cannot self-settle. I have to rock her to sleep, which is getting more and more difficult as I'm nearly 30 weeks pregnant. In the middle of the night, when she wakes, she also cannot get herself back to sleep without me going and rocking her back to sleep. Is this normal? And do you have any advice for me, please? So it's only normal if you want it to be normal. If you're happy doing that, then that's fine. But because you're rocking her to sleep at the beginning of the night, she's expecting you to do it when she wakes in the middle of the night. So you kind of have to stop the rocking from the beginning bit. So use a settling technique that you're comfortable with, and to use that same settling technique in the middle of the night when she wakes. You're 30 weeks pregnant, you get this sorted before the baby comes, hopefully. So yeah, just consistency and teaching her to settle herself, using a settling approach that you're wanting to use. My 3-month-old keeps wanting our food even after his bottle. What can I do? Do you mean, I don't know, do you mean he wants more milk at 3 months? Is he hungry? I don't know. I don't have enough information, Nikki. So if you want to give me more information, what you're asking there. My baby is 9 months, has to fall asleep on us and then going down in his cot. How do I get him to sleep by himself? Also at night time, he started to scream when I put him down. It has to be me to come to him, or he'll keep trying. So you need to have a really good bedtime routine. So go through the same process, 10-15 minute, 20-25 minute wind down routine bedtime, and then put him. Everything has to be the same every night. So you put him down in his cot, whether you're going to use white noise or not, and just use the same approach. Because he sounds like he wouldn't, I don't think using a sort of controlled crying approach would work for him. Sit by the side of his cot, comfort him till he stops crying, take your hand off, and just keep repeating that. That's the sort of gradual retreat approach that I would recommend. And you just need to keep remaining consistent, because he just needs to get used to the fact that, okay, I'm comfortable in my own space and I'm going to put myself to sleep. Becky, I have a 16-month-old. How long should she be napping for during the day? She only has one nap. So it really depends on the child. Some just take an hour and a half. Some will take 2.5 hours. It really just depends. And it depends how their night sleep is looking. Because if you're finding that, for instance, it could be either way. So if they're not sleeping well at night, are you giving them too much sleep in the day? But it could be the other way around. So I don't know how she's sleeping in the day, but aim for roughly 1.5 to 2 hours is the norm. I breastfeed my 18-month son, but now I'm pregnant. Is it good to continue to breastfeed or not? That's your choice. That's not up to me. I'd speak to your doctor if it's anything to do with health, any reasons not to, because you're pregnant. If you want to continue doing that, that's up to you. But in terms of sleep, if you're breastfeeding him to sleep, then if you're having sleeping issues, that'll be the root of why he's waking up. Because he's not putting himself to sleep, he's relying on you. Can I ask, my granddaughter is having really bad separation anxiety. She is 4 from her mum. When her mum returns, she is shouted at, hit, hair pulled. We are distracted with this. Any advice? So she's suffering really bad from anxiety from, I'm not quite clear from this, when her mum leaves. So is this what when she leaves the room? I need to know, because it's quite a, you need to give me a little bit more information. Do you mean when she leaves the room, when she puts her down to sleep? Just give me a little bit more information on that one, if you just make that one a little bit clearer, that question, Lisa. I don't want to give you the wrong information. My son has been waking up every hour for the last 8 weeks. He goes to sleep, bed, awake, no problem, falls asleep by himself. He's 18 months old. He usually starts to wake around 9 p.m. and it's usually every hour and a half. Normally goes on to about 3 a.m. He just gets dummy and back to sleep, so not sure what the issue is. Help. The issue is probably, when you say that he gets the dummy, is he getting the dummy and putting it back in himself, or are you putting the dummy back in himself for him? So if he's putting it, and it's no problem if he's putting the dummy back in himself, and that's fine. But if he's waking up every hour, it sounds like his day sleep isn't right. There could be something going on there. Are you giving him too much sleep in the day? So if that's the case, you might want to cut back on the day sleep, just by half an hour, and see if that helps. So this one, my 3-year-old, she's been a terrible sleeper from birth, but it's just not getting any easier. She's up and down around 10 times at night. Gosh, for all different reasons, for juice, for milk, for screaming for me, or her dad is just constant. It's starting to affect her older sister, who she shares a room with, as it's waking her up now and making her tired. I think I've tried everything to stop her waking up, but nothing is working. Is there any advice you can help with, please? So 3 she's trying every trick in the book. She's probably wanting juice, she's wanting this, she's wanting that. I would start with trying to do a reward approach, incentivize her to stay in bed. So create a reward card, get her involved in making it, and if she stays in bed that night, she gets a reward, something that she'd really want. And if she does get up and then she comes into your room, just silently take her back, and you just got to keep on responding in that way. Definitely put white noise in their room if it's waking up your other little one, just to try and stop the other one waking. But that's what I would suggest. And also just double check, because you said she's not been a good sleeper from birth. Is she putting herself to sleep? If she's not putting herself to sleep, that's where you want to start with working on as well. So that she just goes back to sleep when she wakes up in the night. Gosh, Nikki, every time I feed my 3-month-old, will try and get it. He will open his mouth and want it, even after giving him his bottle. I'm not a sort of weaning expert, but 3 months is very young. So I would speak to someone that's a weaning expert about that. But 3 months is quite young to be moving them onto solid, but speak to someone, a professional in that industry. So Lisa, let's go back to that. Yes, when mum leaves her with us to go shopping or to work. So I'm not a behavioural specialist. If it was to do with her sleep, I could give you advice, but it sounds like separation anxiety is not just when she's sleeping. So I'm probably not the right person to ask on that one, Lisa. Any other questions for you guys? hopefully I've got through them all. If I've missed any out, just let me know. Or if I've not made anything clear, just ask me and I'll try and explain it a bit more. No? So it seems like a lot of you it's to do with teaching them to self-settle. Oh, my screen's gone funny. So that can't that you just need to get everything in place, the right amount of sleep in the day, at the right time, right wake times, and it's about using an approach that you are comfortable with. If you want help with that, get in touch with me and I can give you the different approaches. The reason I don't go into specific step by step is there's so much involved in each approach that I wouldn't want to tell you exactly how to do it over here because you could get it not exactly spot on. But I would say for ones that experience separation anxiety, look up gradual retreat. If they're quite comfortable and you want to do something where you're out the room, look up checks. So every just interval, just going in interval and checking on them. So that's what I would say is to teach them to fall asleep independently. That's what you're a lot of you are asking about. Anything else? No? Okay, so should we leave it there or should we give it a couple more minutes, Laura? I think we'll leave it there if no one's got any more questions. Fine. Well, get in touch if you've got any other questions. I'd be happy to help you. So yeah, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's snooze_tots and lots of tips on there. And then if on Facebook as well, you can just message me on that as well. All right. Well, I hope everyone goes out and enjoys the sunshine. And I will speak to you soon.